Good morning, everyone. Good evening to some. So we'll start. And today we have a guided meditation by Rupert Spira with us to lead us. And it's a long one, so we won't have more time for sharing maybe today, I don't know. And also there are long breaks in between, like he guides and then he stops. So just wanted to share in the beginning itself that when we find a long pause in between in today's guided meditation, again not waiting for the speaker to speak, or even if we are waiting for the speaker to speak, then we are aware of that waiting. So just being aware of whatever state we are in, being aware of getting distracted, being aware of maybe getting lost, being aware of bringing ourselves back home to the breath, being aware of being aware. So if we can just maintain that awareness, which is the purpose why we are here, taking stance as awareness of whatever state of being we are in, and also we have the guiding in between, so we'll be guided with Rupert Spira. So I'm sharing the audio and we'll begin. And you can close the eyes, open the eyes as per whatever you want.
The 14th century mystic and poet Lala said, I have travelled so far seeking God, but it was only when I gave up and turned back that I found him present inside me. I have travelled so far seeking God, but when I gave up and turned back, there he was within me. I, the finite mind, have searched so far and for so long in objects, substances, activities, expanded states of mind, and intimate relationships for peace and fulfillment. And although the acquisition of any of these brought my search temporarily to an end, and as a result gave me a brief taste of the peace and fulfillment for which I longed. The peace and fulfillment never lasted. It was only when I gave up and turned back. It was only when I ceased seeking in objective experience for peace and fulfillment. It was only when I gave up and turned back, when I faced the source from which I have risen. It is only when I allowed myself to sink deeper and deeper into the heart of awareness from which I have risen, that I began to taste the lasting peace and fulfillment for which I have longed all my life. I have travelled so far in search of God, but when I gave up and turned back, there He was within me. This giving up and turning back or turning around of the mind is what is referred to as self-inquiry, self-investigation, or self-abidance. It is also known as self-resting or self-remembering. It is also sometimes called self-surrendering, or the surrender of the mind to God's infinite being. In other words, this turning back of the mind is the place where the path of knowledge and the path of love or devotion meet. It is the experience in which self-investigation and self-surrender are understood to be one and the same. It is the culmination of the two paths of Jnana Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. The path of knowledge and the path of love. If consciousness could be likened to an ocean, mind would be the waves that rise upon and the currents that appear within that ocean. At the depth of the ocean, there is complete stillness. The further one rises to the surface of the ocean, the more movement there is. So our thoughts are the waves that take place on the surface of the ocean. Our feelings are the currents that take place within the ocean. But all there is to mind, that is, all there is to thoughts and feelings, is the activity of the ocean. Just as the waves and currents are simply the ocean in motion, so mind is simply the motion or the activity of consciousness. So all the mind has to do to find the peace that it longs for is to sink into the depths of the ocean. It is always still in the depths of the ocean. So all the mind that longs for peace and fulfillment needs to do is to sink into the depths of awareness. As Rumi said, flow down and down and down in ever widening rings of being. As the wave flows down and down and down into the depths of the ocean, it widens or loses its limitations, loses its activity, and at some point is revealed as perfectly silent, still awareness.
So just maintaining a alert and yet relaxed stance in ourselves. And trying not to sink into the dullness and sleep. And if dullness comes, I'm aware of the dullness. I'm aware of the breathing. Being aware of the body, all the sensations that may be there. I'm home, I'm aware. So maintaining a relaxed and yet an alert, attentive state of being.
Having no activity or no motion, it has no form. And having no form, it has no limits. Thus, at the very depth of the mind, the very substance out of which the mind is made, is this silent, unlimited or infinite awareness. All the currents that take place in the ocean and all the waves that take place on the ocean are simply this silent, infinite awareness. Vibrating within itself. Appearing as our thoughts and feelings. If we make a deep and honest investigation into what our thoughts and feelings really want, we will almost always find that what they are seeking is simply peace and fulfillment. The wave cannot find peace and fulfillment in another wave. The only place to find lasting peace and fulfillment is to sink into the depths of itself, and in doing so progressively lose its agitation. The feelings of boredom, resistance, restlessness, loneliness, longing, are simply currents in the ocean saying, I don't like the water that is present here. If I go to a different part of the ocean, the water might be better over there. This is what Lala meant when she said, I have searched so far for God. I have traveled so far in search of God. But when I gave up and turned back, there he was, within me. When the current gives up and turns back or sinks down into the depths of the ocean of which it is itself simply a modulation, right there it finds the peace for which it was in search.
Yeah, so we can take up any reflections, questions, and also if anyone wants to share about any challenges one faces, which one is concerned about when we at least try to bring the mind home or be aware of being whatever is the state of our being. So if any sharing from anyone, please feel free to unmute. Okay, so I'm assuming there is nothing at the moment, and which is perfectly okay. So there was this one book that I came across, which maybe I can share on the groups also. I had shared earlier this book with all of us, where it's the essence of mindfulness, and it's the instructions of the Buddha. It's a translation of that, and If we just look at the instructions, they appear very simple and easy to follow, and also very effective, because what he shares again and again is that the sadhak or the monk is just aware of, if he gets distracted, he is aware of being distracted. If he has desire, he's aware that he is desirous. If he slip, he knows that he slipped. So there is nothing that one has to avoid, because many a times in avoidance we become too tight and limited, that I don't have to think and I don't have to, do this or that. If we are thinking, then I am aware that I am thinking. If I'm getting distracted, I'm aware that I'm getting distracted. If I'm feeling hungry, I'm aware that I'm feeling hungry. So, like that, he talks about all these many possibilities of having mindfulness in our day to day life: mindfulness of sitting, mindfulness of posture, standing, mindfulness of breathing. If I am all manipulating my breathing, I am aware that I am manipulating my breathing. If I am maybe, trying to have a respect while having a conversation with someone, I'm trying to have a respect in front of someone, then I'm aware of that inner state of being. What am I trying to do? So if that awareness, we can stretch it out throughout our day, and not only when we have our solitude or silent time spent with us, that is what gives us so much of fulfillment in life, that even one day seems really, really fulfilling, no matter whatever comes and goes. So I may be sad, actually. That's the paradox. I may be feeling sad, but if I just stay aware of the sadness and just keep holding the sadness in that awareness, that's it. That's my task. So if I'm feeling pain, suffering of any sorts, any unease today, maybe certain heaviness on my chest that I'm feeling, out of some emotions or something, I'm aware and I'm there for myself. And as Rupert was sharing, that in this awareness, we turn to God. It's this awareness in which, when we sync ourselves, we are coming back home to the God's being inside us. And if we are able to do it like we did, in short episodes, whenever we get time alone, then the idea is to stretch it throughout, throughout the day in activity. I am aware of each state of being that I am in, being mindful, being alert, and being the closest companion to ourselves. And when we are sinking into some sleepy, somnambulant state, I am aware. I am aware that dullness is there. Okay, so yeah, if there is any reflection, any sharing, we can take it up. If not, that's okay. Beautiful. And wishing everyone a very happy practice, which can be stretched throughout our waking, sleeping, dreaming states. Yeah, Sardaji?
Yeah, Monica.
Yeah.
Actually, see what he was guiding and what you were also saying. I could feel that, I wanted to go deep into myself, but within few seconds, I am just coming out. My mind starts wavering. I'm able to see I'm not there into myself, but every few minutes this happens. Maybe is this a starting? This is
Yeah,
how.
so again, Sardaji, I think good that you observed this, that I'm trying to go in, but again and again I'm pushed to the surface.
Yeah,
So the
yeah.
idea is just to be aware that I'm trying to go in,
Okay.
and I'm here, I am on the surface. So the idea is not to go to the, depth in the
Okay.
beginning at least. So there is no one pointed direction, that this is the state of being that I want to experience. No, nothing like that.
Okay.
I
Okay.
just want to be the best companion to myself. So if I am trying to go down, I am aware that I am trying to go down. And
Yeah.
if I am pushed back to the surface, I am aware that I am pushed back to the surface.
But one interesting thing is from where this mind gets, something to come up. See, we have so many things. When we close our eyes, we get all the things in the world.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's as we have discussed, many times that these are old habits,
Yeah.
and it's just because of those. It's nothing special about those old habits. It's just that I am accustomed to live on the surface.
Okay.
Just because of that. And if we were accustomed, say from the beginning,
Mm.
to live deep in our being, then coming on the surface will feel uneasy for us.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
very shortly I go to the surface and I don't feel very easy, and I stay deep enough, where I'm used to. So I think it's just a matter of what we are accustomed to living. So now what we are trying to do is, with Mother Shri Aurobindo and all other masters, we are just trying to become more and more a better version of ourselves. So
True.
if staying on the surface consciousness makes me too wavy up and down, and it doesn't feel very nice in the being. I feel very uneasy. So I'm finding ease in myself. And many people who are actually accustomed to live with anxiety, if in the beginning, when we try to practice or meditate or mindfulness, we will see that we undergo a lot of unease, because we are so accustomed to living with anxiety. When the anxiety is not present, I am feeling, oh my god, what's missing, so it's just a habit. And now if I'm convinced that whatever benefits me, I'm going to take a lead in that direction, then slowly the habits change and they lose their grip over me.
Okay.
Yeah. So just a matter of practice, as once in
Thank you,
once
Monica. Thank you so
uh,
much.
in one of the sessions.
Always struggling here.
Yeah. Yeah, don't struggle too much. I think the idea is not to have achieve a certain state, because struggling against become the daily thing that we are struggling all the time. So the
Yeah.
idea is not to achieve a certain state. So if I'm struggling, I am aware of the struggle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Taking
Beautiful.
it very relaxed and alert of whatever state of being that is there. Yeah. Thank you for bringing this up. Yeah.
Thank you so
Monica ji,
Yes, Dhavalji.
namaste. So, when certain emotions you go through, you're aware of it, but then what do you do about it? Meaning, yes, the state of awareness settles in, but then what is the further? What do you do about? You be with it. Yes, you're aware, but what needs to be done beyond that?
Yeah. So again, there are many possibilities, but what is coming to me right now in the context of where we are. So the way to meet our disturbances is not in the mind. And we will see that most of the times I'm trying to deal with disturbing emotions, like some happening which is disturbing today. Somebody said something, I felt very uneasy. We are trying to deal with it in the mind, in the thought space. And that's why forever we remain entangled there. We all know that we remain entangled. Rarely is an occasion where we are really able to find an absolute resolution to our unease. And why is it so? Because the way to meet disturbing emotions is not in the thought space. Thought created it. So thought cannot solve it. as Albert Einstein says, it sounds a bit cliche, but it's not. It has a lot of power. That the very state of mind that is creating the entanglement or creating the problem cannot solve it.
So that means we have to go to a higher state of
We have to go
higher
to the
plane.
body. Just have to go to the body. Nothing, supernatural about it. Just so when I am having a jealousy or anger in the being or any disturbing unease in the being, you will see that there are three components to it. One is thought component. What am I thinking about that situation? One would be what am I feeling about that situation? Some sadness, some despair, maybe, or maybe some disappointment. And then one would be the physical aspect of that disturbance. So, getting in touch with where in my body can I get in touch with that unease that is created by the disturbing emotion. For some, it could be heart. For some, it could be lower part of the abdomen. So, for some, it could be just burning in the whole body. Many a times we go through that, like such restlessness in the body, some heaviness on the chest. So if I truly now want a different way, I'm wanting a different way to understand what am I going through and resolve it for myself, then I have to just fully be breathing through, in the body, remaining with that unease that disturbance has created. So a few days ago, uh, there was some heaviness on my chest, and I could not locate the reason in my head. Why is this heaviness there? Because many a times the ego patterns are so strong and coming from like old habits that exactly maybe you are not able to pinpoint, okay, where is it arising from? So you are not able to locate the thought where it is arising from, but you have a feeling of like a sadness, and that feeling has a location, maybe in my case, the front part of chest, like this frontal chest. I could feel as if something is sitting over there, like a heaviness sitting there. So again, I decided, okay, I'm going to stay with it. I'm not going to do anything about it. Just going to stay, like you hold hand of a crying child and you keep holding the hand, you keep embracing the child for as long as the child wants the embrace. So we have to, with our breathing, with the mindfulness of breathing, the embrace that we create. So I decided that I'm going to do that. I'm not trying to find resolutions or find the root cause of this misery, which for me was very hazy. At times it may be clear, but for me it was very hazy. I was not clear in thoughts where is the root, but I was able to observe that there is a constant feeling of a chest heaviness that was there, and a feeling of, say, certain, not very nice, it was something very uneasy. So I said, okay, I'm going to breathe through that uneasiness. So I just stayed with the physical sensation of the uneasiness, stayed with it, alongside keeping the mind on the breath. So you are breathing through the pain, you are breathing through the unease, and not wanting to do anything, whether you stay or go away. So there is no purpose in my head. The purpose is to hold hand. Purpose is to be my best friend. That's it. If at all there is any purpose. So that's what I did, and again, not wanting to find any answers to it. And I don't know how and when it just shifted. Something shifted, and I had the lightness and ease back again in my being. The heaviness was not there anymore. Now I don't know how it works.
Yeah, you are
Yeah.
absolutely right. That I can correlate with what you just said, because I have made many attempts to do root cause analysis and failed. So only when you said either with this breathing, I also don't understand the mechanism how it happens, but it happens. Or when you involve deeply with some activity like music or anything, it just disappears. So these these were the things which I completely agree with you what you just said. But any we should not be doing root cause analysis, is what we are coming to a conclusion here.
So I think it depends upon the situation, because many a times root cause analysis is not in our hands. I mean, there are ego patterns operating from past lives, and I would, no matter how hard I try going into the thought space, I can't get the root. You know, I can't get there. So again, I think depending upon person to person, how they operate, some people are more mental, then some people are more vital, like more emotional. At times we have haziness in our thoughts. At times we have clarity in our thoughts. But masters have said, like in Mother's prayers and meditations, she again and again shares what Sharda ji was pointing at, that on the surface consciousness, whenever I am identified with the flow of thoughts, with the flow of feelings, flow of, all the happenings in my life, I am always disturbed. And Mother says that I find solace and I find strength and I find clarity only when I plunge deep in this consciousness, which is taking stance as awareness. So that's what masters have said. But again, we are obviously, who can stop us from going into thought space? So feel free.
No, true. Even a small example right now, right? What I have observed is, even if we do listening just to what you're saying or to anybody saying, we are in the present. I don't know how to express it, but just simply listening, it goes to the depths. That is also a small experience I just wanted to share.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. And truly listening is, as you said, it's a way to come back home in the present moment. And, as you shared yourself, that whatever works, the divine is infinite and there are infinite possibilities and tools and methods available to us. And whatever brings us home, at times it could be music, at times it could be just awareness of my body, at times it could be awareness of my breath, awareness of the pain I am having in my chest. Anything that brings us back home, is the way. So infinite possibilities, and to each his own, whatever suits us. Music, listening, many a times even playing, or as you sing, so for example singing, that brings us fully in the here and now. And then we can work on experimenting to, like, expand that, staying in the here and now.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Very
Thank
beautiful.
you.
I'm glad we are having this conversation.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. So thank you everyone, and it's time for me to get up. I have to send kids to school. So thank you for joining in, and
Thank
wishing
you,
everyone a
Manna.
happy, joyous practice. Thank you, Shardaji. Thanks everyone. Thank you for joining.